The prognosis is in.
50% of the people in the world have Trump derangement syndrome. And they still have a really hard time understanding why he's back in the White House. There's nothing you can do about it. He was elected with a majority. Let's get over the derangement syndrome. Let's focus on the policy and get stuff done. Because I got to tell you, there's a lot of people that go out of their minds.
Mr. Wonderful should have been a doctor because he just accurately diagnosed half the globe as cuckoo. And if you've ever been around someone crazy, you know there's nothing you can do. Crazy's going to crazy. You can't let it affect you. So when I hear Al Gore say he's living under the Third Reich, he must really believe that because he believes he invented the internet.
I understand very well why it is wrong to compare Adolf Hitler's Third Reich to any other movement. It was uniquely evil, full stop. I get it. But there are important lessons from the history of that emergent evil, and here is one that I regard as essential. The Nazis, and I quote again, attacked the very heart of the distinction between true and false. The Trump administration is insisting on trying to create their own preferred version of reality.
Al Gore and the people like him can't accept that Trump won. And the reality is, he's president again, and Gore never was. Trump's living in reality. He's living in the White House. He preferred that version and made it a reality. It's people like Gore who can't accept reality, who can't accept that Trump won. And that's where we are today. These people have convinced themselves that when they're not in power, they're going to die. Or if you don't do what they tell you to do, like buy an electric car, you're going to die. But nobody's dying. They never do. So even though we can't change crazy, we can tell them to chill.
Some in our leadership class seem stricken by self-doubt and even fear of the future. To them, humanity is always one bad decision away from catastrophe. The world will soon end, they tell us, because we're burning too much fuel or making too many things or having too many children. And so, rather than invest in the future, they too often retreat from it. Well, President Trump rejects these failed ideas.
When a crazy guy comes up to you and says something bad's about to happen, you don't take him seriously. You say, "Oh, I'm sorry." You slowly back away. But when half the world is screaming something bad's going to happen, you can't let yourself get worked up. You just have to learn to live with these people. You learn to live with crazy. The stock market was up 1,000 points today, but they keep saying we're on the brink of a recession. Well, the CEO of Chevron, kind of a big deal, says, no, we're not. We're not even close.
You don't think we're headed into a recession in your plans at this point?
You know, there's no signs that we see at this point that we're in or close to a recession.
They said the world was going to side with China, and China was going to eat our lunch. No one wins a trade war, they said. So why are all these countries flying here to do deals with us?
You have the entire trade team meeting with 34 countries this week alone. We are moving at Trump speed to ensure these deals are made on behalf of the American worker and the American people.
34 countries. Well, they say China's the big kahuna. They have 1 billion people. Well, we just found 1 billion more.
We are especially excited to formally announce that America and India have officially finalized the terms of reference for the trade negotiation. I think this is a vital step.
Well, they say we were living in Nazi Germany, so how do you explain all these countries flying here to have lunch and invest? Is India a Nazi collaborator? See what I mean? The Europeans just announced a $50 billion manufacturing investment here. 12,000 jobs, made in America. Does that sound like a recession? Is that chaotic? Maybe the process can seem chaotic to some people because it's never been done before, but the results aren't. Trump's the first president in 40 years to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. Democrats are jealous that he's doing things that they ran on and never did. That's what's making him crazy. Their dirty little playbook was to say they were going to do stuff, never do it, and then just keep running on it again and again and again so they can be politicians for life and get rich insider trading and taking half the week off. But Trump's fixing the problems and finding their fraud. So the jig's up. And when they say the world's going to end, yeah, their world's ending. Their reality's over. And they never thought it would happen. So they're having a hard time coming to grips with reality. Clinical psychiatrists call this a psychotic break, when you sever yourself from reality and live in a different world that you've created in your own mind. These are the people we're dealing with. They said we couldn't just shut down the border without Congress, remember? That was a lie. He did it. And we just saw the lowest border crossings in the history of March. They're down 99.9% from Joe. The White House says you can't get much better than that. Trump's proving that the president has more power than they wanted you to know. And they're terrified next time they're in power, voters are going to expect more. Well, Trump did it. Why can't you? Trump closed the border, cut trade deals, lowered gas prices, slashed waste. Why can't you? Voters are going to expect results now. And the crazy people who usually run the show don't want voters expecting results, because that means voters are going to judge them. And politicians, they like to be the judge. Once you flip it on them, it's game over. They're all about debating the process. It's got to be done this way. No, it has to be done this way. Oh, we're going to sue. No, we're going to have a commission. We're going to have legislation. That keeps everybody arguing and distracted and lawyered up. Why do you think they're flying to El Salvador to undeport MS-13? Even though he ended up out of the country, they didn't like the process. The El Salvador 4 are still down there waiting to get margaritas with a gang member. But he's in jail because he's a gang member. So now they're just doing CNN hits from the hotel.
Why did you feel it was important to travel to El Salvador now?
Well, the main thing is that in this country, everybody is entitled to due process.
This is bigger than about just Kilmer Garcia. This is about due process in the United States.
The due process is not a optional. That is a must right in the United States of America.
Donald Trump is following the same authoritarian playbook as others around the world, and by just not following the law.
The El Salvador 4 don't care about due process. They just want to slow down the process. Trump deported these bad hombres so fast that it's making Democrats look feckless. So they want every illegal alien gang member to get a lawyer, a hearing, and a year of appeals at least. And then they want to make Trump look like he's breaking the law. Remember, that's what they tried the last election and it didn't work. What's the definition of insanity? Trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Barack Obama deported 3 million illegals. No one called him a dictator, and no one said citizens are next. Obama's people didn't even think it was controversial.
Will this administration continue to oversee the deportation of 400,000 people a year?
As long as Congress gives us the money to deport 400,000 people a year, that's what the administration is going to do. That's our obligation under the law. We will be strategic about how we do it, and the number of those folks who are either criminals or recent arrivals will continue to go up. But yes, this is our obligation under the law. We must enforce it, and we will do that.
Barack Obama drone-striked an American citizen overseas. What has more due process? Your president murdering you with a missile without a hearing, or your president flying an illegal alien home? These people are crazy. But what happens when you stand next to a crazy person? You look good. You don't even have to do anything except not act crazy. And the funny thing about crazy people is that they don't know they're crazy. So Republicans are offering to pay for any Democrat who wants to go to El Salvador. Just one condition. They have to live stream the whole thing and snap plenty of selfies. It's like handing a crazy person an iPhone. You don't know what's going to happen, but you're going to laugh. And the so-called smart Democrats, you know, the strategists, they're all in. They say, let's all go to El Salvador.
Deep breath, deep breath. Going to try not to scream about all of this, but just...
I'm going to scream about it.
Okay, good.
Right now.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you, because I can't anymore. My head's going to pop off my body.
I'm so pulsing with rage right now over this thing. It's like, if we are not willing to stand up here, then I don't know what we are fighting for or what we stand for or who we are.
This never happened when Nancy was in charge. She wouldn't let her members fly to foreign countries for photo ops with MS-13. The guy has MS-13 tatted on his knuckles. Even Nancy knows better than that. She had everybody disciplined. And if you got out of line, she'd cut your throat. Now Hakeem's running the show, and he's afraid of his own base. So the base is out of control. AOC's beefing with Fetterman, Dave Hogg scrapping with Carville. Colleagues are trying to coup Schumer. If Al Green had shaken that cane at Trump and Nancy was there, she would have grabbed it and broke his kneecaps. She'd never tolerate Jasmine Crockett and her little shenanigans. Pelosi was the psych warden, kept all these kooks in line. And unlike the first term, Trump's not even bothering with these people. He's focused on the big stuff like peace, trade, and borders, and letting the results speak for themselves. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.